Let's now dive into our feature story of the day. Give me a second to pull this baby up. All right, now we're going to be discussing Bitcoin hitting $1 million per coin. And why haven't we hit $1 million yet? Is Bitcoin's 1 million dream on hold? Max Keiser reveals the top obstacles. So let's break this story down. This was just published January 17th, earlier today, and looks pretty insightful. So here we have it. Max Keiser, the high priest himself, the prominent Bitcoin advocate and broadcaster, points an accusatory finger at Vanguard CEO Mortimer J. Buckley. What a name. And according to Keiser, Buckley's cautious approach is the primary obstacle preventing Bitcoin from reclaiming the coveted $50,000 level. That's right, crypto enthusiasts are pointing fingers, and the target is the Vanguard CEO, Mortimer Buckley. In his latest episode of the ongoing Bitcoin saga, Max Keiser, the vocal Bitcoin advocate and broadcaster, accuses Buckley of being the main roadblock preventing Bitcoin from reclaiming the much coveted 50G level. Now, Keiser doesn't mince words, claiming that Vanguard, one of the world's largest asset managers, I think it's the second largest in the world next to BlackRock, is the key player with holding Bitcoin back. In a recent expose, Keiser asserts that Vanguard's decision to restrict its customers from purchasing the newly introduced crypto product is a strategic move aimed at hindering the Bitcoin surge. As Max tweeted here, this guy, Tim Buckley, delayed Bitcoin hitting $50,000 post ETFs by 2 weeks. So that's the silver lining. He only delayed it by 2 weeks, family, so it's all good. And in a follow-up interview, Buckley attempts to clarify Vanguard's position. He voices reservations about Bitcoin's backed ETFs and gold-based exchange-traded funds, citing Bitcoin's lack of intrinsic economic value and cash flow as reasons for the company's caution. Now, I have to point out how hypocritical this guy is, because Vanguard owns roughly 8.6% of MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy holds 200,000 roughly Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So Vanguard already has indirect exposure to Bitcoin. These are the old oligarchs. I mean, the biggest ones out there: BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity. These are the juggernauts, family. But anyways, interestingly, Vanguard's grouped substantial holdings in MicroStrategy with 1.1 million MicroStrategy shares. Read my mind. Indirectly exposes its client to Bitcoin. This apparent contradiction adds complexity to the debate surrounding Vanguard's stance on embracing Bitcoin through ETFs. So not only are they a big shareholder, they're the primary shareholder of MicroStrategy. They own more shares than any other company, 1.1 million MSTR shares. Now, Vanguard's differing stance. Vanguard's cautious stance sharply contrasts with major competitors like BlackRock and Larry Fink, Fidelity, and Vesco. These investment giants, in a strategic move last week, eagerly embrace the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Experts anticipate that this move will significantly expand Bitcoin's investor base, providing a more accessible path for investment. Now let's discuss this $1 million forecast amidst the debate. Bitcoin maxi Samson Mao enters the scene with a bold prediction. The Bitcoin can soar to the unprecedented 1 million per coin in a matter of days to weeks after the approval of the ETF, which I've been covering here on the pod. Mao cites the recent approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs and the upcoming 2024 halving as potential catalysts for this monumental surge. And let's check out this actual tweet he shared, dated on January 15th. So 2 days ago on Monday, it already got over 200,000 views, quoting Samson Mao. You promised 1 million days after the ETFs started trading. No one can promise that Bitcoin does anything except produce blocks every roughly 10 minutes and a halving every 4 years. Now, 1 million in days to weeks. Note, we are just 2 days and a long weekend post after the ETFs launch, and it is just my prediction and it's for fun. The main point I'm trying to get across is that the macro environment has fundamentally changed, and this is a very real possibility now. Many have since acknowledged this as well. Most people don't understand that when perma-bulltards like Stack Hodler or BitPain, etc. make predictions, we're just having fun. We'd also happily ride Bitcoin down to zero too. So if you're a trader, you probably shouldn't listen to us. I am happy to be wrong. See my Max Payne theory thread, because a slow and steady Bitcoin price rise is better for everyone. Ultimately though, it is inevitable that Bitcoin does go to 1 million per coin. It could be in days to weeks. It could be at the halving, or it could be in the months post-halving. The point is that 1 million per Bitcoin is a certainty because the fiat system is dying and there's literally nowhere else to go except for moving into Bitcoin. ETFs resume buying tomorrow. Have a good day. And you can see some of the feedback here. I think I posted something. It may have been another post. I shared like a meme of Allen Iverson crossing over on, what's his name, on Michael Jordan Classic. But anyways, he also shares here why he initially presented the $1 million forecast for fun. Now asserts that the changing macro environment for Bitcoin makes the ambitious target a very real possibility. So I'd love to know your thoughts, family. Honestly, I don't think anything has changed. I do think a lot of the mainstream FUD from the Jamie Dimon, you know, the tapeworm himself, saying that Satoshi is going to come back, change the code, that the Vanguards, the frickin' Merrill Lynch's, the Bank of America's, and the old money oligarchs are going to continue to FUD Bitcoin, including their own chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, even after giving his official stamp of approval, allowing 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs. He still says Bitcoin's primary use case is for illicit activity. So you know, Bitcoin is a threat to the old money, and so they can't directly control Bitcoin, but what they can do is FUD it and try to scare investors out of their positions. And they do a great job at this using the mainstream, the news media, and all their tools. But there you have it, fam. When do you feel Bitcoin will likely hit that $1 million mark? Do you think it could potentially happen this cycle? Or do you think that's more later down the road, potentially at the year Cathie Wood predicts it in 2030? Her base case is 670,000 by 2030, which is now only 6 years out, family. Let that sink in. Her bullish case is between 1 million and 1.5 million. Shout out to Omar. Appreciate you subbing to #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. And she says, now that we got the ETF approvals, we're more than likely going to head to that bullish target of 1.5 million by 2030. Let me know your thoughts. I think it's a given. I think we could potentially hit 1 million per coin by the year 2029. Here's my thoughts and theory behind it. Typically, it's the year preceding the halving. We hit the cycle peak. For example, in 2012, we had a halving. In 2013, cycle peak. Then 4 years later, after 2012 and 2016, we had a halving. Then 2017, the year preceding the halving, we hit the 20,000 peak. Then, like deja vu, 4 years after the 2016 halving, we had another halving in 2020, and Bitcoin did its thing. And the following year in 2021, we reached the current all-time high of roughly 69,000 per coin. And many experts say that if we didn't have the fraudsters such as FTX, Luna, and all those debacles, we could have climbed on up to 100,000 per coin back in 2021. They say Bankman-Fried was dumping Bitcoin onto the open market to suppress it under 20,000 and potentially was colluding with Gary Gensler. What are your thoughts on this, crypto family? But back to my theory. So again, we're going to have a halving this year in 2024. More than likely, we're going to hit the cycle peak in 2025 if history is to rhyme. And then in 2028, we're going to have another halving. And if history is to rhyme, we'll hit that cycle peak in 2029. I think the cycle peak, particularly for this cycle, is going to be somewhere between 222,000 and 500,000 per coin. 222 being my bearish scenario, 500,000 being my bullish scenario. So probably fall somewhere in between if I was to guess. Now, check it out. How much does Bitcoin have to climb, hypothetically speaking, from a 300,000, or let's just keep it simple, a 250,000 price action? Let's go with the more of the bearish scenario, just hypothetically speaking. We just need to 4x from the next halving, and boom, bada boom, bada bing, $1 million per coin, family.